This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by Sam Jones here in Telford. Sam, how are you finding? Well, I was going to say sunny Telford. It's not. It's murky Telford.
Proper raining outside. Yeah, I've never been here before. I'm actually really looking forward because I know Liam Davis has big fight nights here. So looking forward to coming on Friday night and seeing Dan Toward steal the show.
Dan Toward steals the show. A lot of excitement around him. What makes him stand out, in your opinion, to all of the others who are starting out their journeys in their pro careers?
Mindset for his age is unbelievable. Have you spoke to him? When you interview him, you'll see like he's more mature than me. Do you know what I mean? I'm a lot, 10 years, 15 years older than him, but he's very, very mature. His head switched on. He's got a fantastic coach now with Dave Coldwell. He's got a proper setup. I'm not just saying he's one of the best talents in the country, and you'll see it on Friday. He's going to steal the show. I'm convinced of it.
Talk about the development for his career. How do you want to see these coming years play out? Start off with Friday.
Well, just like I'll compare it to Cameron, right? Cameron Vong's fighting Jordan Flynn in his fourth or fifth fight? No, it's his fifth fight. It's his fifth fight against Jordan Flynn. That's the type of way we're going to go with Dan, because fighters with extensive amateur backgrounds, in my opinion, boxing fans can see through it. They don't want to see 90, 10, 95. They can see through the bullshit, if that makes sense. So we want to put them in fights where not be anything silly, but there's a little bit of jeopardy involved, and that's what we're going to be doing with Dan, because he's good enough to handle it.
We had a brief chat there about kind of the fighters you're working with currently, and I just wanted to get kind of more of a conversation going about going it on your own, obviously leaving S-Jam, coming back into the management side of things. What made you maybe decide against going back towards the S-Jam route and linking up with your old team there?
Just that, because listen, me and Adam got a good relationship. It's more like that part of my life's done, and I feel like I can do it on my own. And that's no disrespect to S-Jam or whatever, but I believe, like Adam's effectively doing it on his own, which he's capable of. I just feel like I'm ready to kind of do it alone. But I do miss the kind of camaraderie of being involved in a team, but I'm also enjoying having the close relationships I have with my fighters now. Like with Jack, I speak to all my fighters pretty much every single day. So I'm loving it, if I'm honest, and I feel very lucky and fortunate I'm involved in it.
With the exception of Jack, the rest of your fighters are at very early stages of their careers. With that in mind, how are you finding just trying to guide them effectively from the beginning?
Well, I'm blessed because I look after some phenomenal talents. You look at Hamza Uddin. Hamza Uddin will be involved in title fights within 10 fights. Dan Toward, I'm convinced, will be a champion within 10 fights. Cameron Vong fighting Jordan Flynn. Mark Dickinson in the Japanese prize fighter. So I've got young fighters, but they're moving at that kind of level.
The Mark Dickinson one in the Japanese prize fighter tournament, as you mentioned, there was an interesting one because a lot of people aren't really tipping him to go on to win it. What's giving you the confidence to throw him into that tournament?
Mark Dickinson gives me confidence. His coaching team, they're convinced he wins it. Mark Dickinson's had a very tough draw. I can't pronounce the guy, so I don't want to do him the disservice of trying to pronounce his name because it's a fucking mouthful. So he's a tremendous fighter. I've been watching him, the guy who he's fighting. But Mark, and we all believe that he has the tools to go out there and beat him.
If he goes on, hypothetically speaking, if he wins that tournament, that could set him up for such a huge career because of how early on he's gone into such big fights.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what he wants to do. And also, listen, make no mistake, the money's massive. So it was almost like I presented the offer to Mark, and Mark just goes, "You didn't need to ask me. Get me straight in there." And his dad and his coach were all off the same, and they're convinced they win it. They don't just want to go there and make the numbers up, Andy. They genuinely believe I could get him on the phone here, that he is ready to go. So, looking forward to it.
Sam, we missed each other last week in the Manchester leg of press tour of Taylor-Catterall 2. Watched the Monday one in Scotland, and then obviously I was there on the Tuesday. Always entertaining to watch it. You had your boos up in Scotland, you had your cheers down in Manchester. How would you compare the two press conferences first?
Really good. I didn't really know what to do when there was cheering me in Manchester, but I enjoyed both. Do you know what it was? Because the boxing fan in me, right? And I look at all the people turning out in Scotland, and they were giving me shit, giving Jack shit. But it was a fantastic turnout, and it's what boxing needs, in my opinion, in this country. We need these days back. Gives you something to interview and something exciting, because you don't want to go to a press conference, and let's be honest, and it bores the fuck out of you. You want to see two guys that don't particularly like each other going backwards and forwards. You want it. You want hype around it. You see it even with on the lower level, the Cameron and Jordan Flynn. Look how many views it got on the DAZN. Got over 1.5 million. People are interested in it. They want to see domestic rivalries. I love domestic fights. I was growing up around with watching domestic fights, and that's what we want to see. And the ticket sales reflect that.
I remember doing
I waffle too much then, but I know what I mean.
I remember doing a few brief interviews with, not brief interviews, but interviews with Eddie and Frank, where they briefly mentioned kind of it was you going to have the meetings, it was you doing the talks behind the scenes, so somewhat gave the impression that maybe you were leading the charge to try and get this fight over the line. What was the main difficulty in trying to secure this fight?
Andy, with the stick I get, right, I'm telling you, I don't mind. I will tell you this now. I did pretty much everything to get this fight done. I worked day in, day out for 4 months, over 4 months to get this fight done. It was literally taking over my life because one minute I thought, oh, we're nearly there. Then it's back to square one again. We got offers from abroad. We accepted. At the beginning, it was just, oh, Andy, it was a pain. It was sometimes, right, I was telling Jack, yeah, we're going to get the fight done. But really, I'm thinking, this fight's not happening. But I'm going to have to keep pressing on because I believed it was the right fight to do. And I think I've been proved right in that sense with how well the tickets are and how many people want to see it. For Josh as well. Josh don't want to walk down the street and be known as the guy that, bear in mind he's a 4-belt undisputed champion. One of the great, in my opinion, the greatest Scottish fighter of all time. He doesn't want to be going down going, oh, Jack, you robbed Jack. Jack doesn't want to be taking his daughter to the shops and they're like, Jack, you were robbed. They're too better than that. Let's put it right. And I was convinced this was the right fight to do. And I think the winner goes on to better things, to world title fights again. And the loser, well, it's a long way back of rebuilding, but it's still a very high-profile fight that a lot of people are going to be interested in. Long story short, I worked my bollocks off to get it done, and I'm very, very, very pleased that it got done.
How surprised were you that Josh was willing to go to 140? Because I thought that it would be a catchweight from initial talks.
Not really, because I think Josh wants it all on the same terms as last time, so there's kind of no excuses. But then he's also got it, if Jack beats him, he's kind of probably, let's do a trilogy at 147. So he's kind of got it in his back pocket because Josh is the A side of the fight. So Jack was prepared to go to 154 to fight Josh. No problems. Jack was just like, make the effing fight happen. So we did it, and Josh has said it's at 140, and we're happy that's Jack's weight, so it's fair terms.
Are there any rehydration clauses or anything in place?
No, none of that shit.
That's good to know. Sticking with the theme of the fight, obviously it was a very pumped up press conference, and both Jack and Josh, they just seem to irk each other in some way, shape or form. Is there any concern on your behalf that when that bell goes, Jack loses his head a little bit and the game plan goes out the window?
How many times have you met Jack, Andy?
Enough times,
20,
yeah.
30? Well, you know what type of character he is. When after all that went, when Jack gave Josh a slap, when he gave him the colouring book, we was on the train back, and Jack was just happy as Larry, like not amped up at all. He's got a job to do, and he's going to do whatever it takes to win that fight. There'll be no, of course, there's going to be an electric atmosphere in there that will get the better of, that can bring out maybe a more aggressive fight on both sides, but there'll be no silliness from Jack Catterall, none.
What can you tell me about the ticket divide for that fight as well, Sam? Because I understand Jack's actually taken on a lot of tickets. I imagine Josh has as well. So how are you going to try and keep him the fans?
Matchroom wanted basically, Jack was desperate to get more tickets. I think Josh was as well, to get more tickets, but they have to, I think with the agreement with the arena, they have to make their money. So they had to put them on sale and they just went. So unfortunately, it was basically first come, first served. Jack will have his contingency of supporters, as will Josh, and I'm sure they'll be segregated. I hope they fucking will be, because we'll be having problems. But I think it'll all be done in good spirit. I think it'll be all done, and it's going to be a great fight night for British boxing.
Both men have had their critics from the first fight. Both men have had plaudits. In Josh's case, a lot of people give him credit for going into a Teofimo Lopez fight. Didn't necessarily see a performance many people thought we might do. And then with Jack, dominated the Jorge Linares fight, but obviously had his critics in the sense that people thought the stoppage was there for him.
Yeah, exactly. Like Jack's going to get the stick. Oh, he should have stopped Linares. Linares has been washed twice. I think. Has he been obliterated twice? Early doors, right?
A few fights back.
Yeah, that was in the 10th round. But anyway, so Jack got his stick, but I think Jack controlled the fight, didn't make any mistakes, and Linares is a puncher. So Jack did what he had to do, he gets his stick. Josh got his stick, he was fighting Teofimo Lopez, a higher level fight. But look, I've never said, right, as much as I'll wind Josh up and stuff, Josh Taylor is an all-time British great, right? Best Scottish fighter ever, in my opinion. I just think Jack's got his number. 7 days and twice on a Sunday. I think Catterall is a better fighter than Josh Taylor.
What's the difference then? In your opinion, what gives Jack the edge going into this rematch?
I don't know, just Jack's style is wrong for Josh Taylor's style. I think Josh is going to try and box Jack for the first rounds. He's going to find out it's not going to work, and then it's going to catch fire.
Because that's
A big ring. Josh wanted a big Canelo Alvarez size ring. Not Canelo Alvarez size ring. He wanted just a big, massive ring for the fight. What's happening, Dave? Yeah, he just wanted a big ring. So that suggests to me that he wanted to scurry around the ring, which I think he'll try to, and then he'll break down like a shit car.
it's one thing I was going to ask about. The first fight wasn't one which kind of caught light. Wasn't a fan-friendly fight first time around.
No, I think people were just more like, because what Jack was doing in there, Jack was winning, and when no one gave him a prayer, if we're all honest. So this fight, I think you're going to see a more aggressive fight and a more engaging fight.
Given the outcome of the first fight, the controversy around it, is in Jack's mind to be able to produce a more conclusive finish?
Yeah, of course. Jack wants to put like the ice on the cake. He'd love to stop him, but I just want him to win the fight, Andy. I know like that's probably not what fans want to hear, but I just want Jack to win the fight. But I think Jack will stop him.
I have to ask you, he wins, he can position himself into some tremendous fights at 140 because Matchroom have a stable of top-level 140.
Fight to him, Andy, because you look at the landscape now, right? Who could Jack have boxed, right? Richardson Hitchens in an eliminator, right? No one really cares about that fight profile-wise, and it's hard to explain to people that, oh, Jack, like, believe me, Jack wouldn't duck anybody, and Jack will revisit all of these fights if it makes sense, right? Richardson Hitchens, not a great fight, right? Liam Parrow, good fight, but the money's not there for that fight. This fight, career highest payday. Josh, I'm not saying it's career highest payday, but it's his biggest available payday. A monster payday for both, sold out arena, and the winner goes on to challenge whoever they want in the division. Because I think if whoever wins holds the value to say, I want to fight Lopez. Matthias, who looks like a absolute serial killer. So him, you've got Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia. Regis Prograis is a great fight. It's all out there, isn't it, for the winner? So that's the reason why, one of the main reasons why I knew this was the right fight to take for both men. That's why Josh secretly loves me.
Right, Sam, listen, I appreciate your time now. I know you're going to be a busy man. You're going to go catch up with Dan as well. Thanks for speaking to me. I'll catch you soon.
Take care, mate. Cheers.